welcome to this broadcast on this I Am Braveheart page. I want to welcome you here. When you are here, say something so I know that you're here. I want to make sure you can see and hear me okay. I'm so glad you're here. So tonight's broadcast, I'm really excited about the topic. It's going to be about, quite often we tend to lose ourselves when someone else is going through something really challenging, or maybe they're going through something hard. And so in this Facebook Live tonight, I'm going to share 3 things that you might be doing that might not be helping you. It actually might be hurting the situation a little bit more. I'm also going to share the one counterintuitive thing that you really must do if you want a sense of peace and if you want to help to shift the energy. And then I want to share some tips that could support you. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Sandy Lemian. I'm a spirit medium and transformational life coach. And my main mission is to support individuals as they go through breaking down and breaking open moments with the connection that I have with spirit. I can bring through some powerful truths that help people move through challenging times with a level of authenticity and vulnerability and integrity so that you can grow through anything. So glad that you are here. So I want to ask you a question first. Think about someone, actually, it's not a question, but think about someone in your life right now that you are concerned about, someone that might be struggling with something. They might be going through some grief. They might be going through some anxiety. They might be going through some depression. And I want you to ask yourself, what does that do to you when that person is going through what they're going through? Okay. And I want to bring up the analogy of a butterfly. Everybody loves the ideas of butterflies, especially as they represent transformation. And we all know what happens. We all know that the butterfly starts as a caterpillar and weaves its way into a cocoon. And that's where all the transformation happens, is in the cocoon. And when the butterfly is starting to make its way out of the cocoon, there's quite a bit of struggle as it starts to come out, like real struggle. Some of you may have heard me tell this story before, but when my kids were little, we bought a butterfly kit. And I saw this butterfly really struggling to get out of the cocoon, and I felt so bad for it. So I took a pair of scissors and I cut open the cocoon, and the poor little butterfly came out with its wing like this, and it actually was damaged. And here's why. The struggle that the butterfly has to go through as it's moving out of the cocoon so that it can fly, it needs to have that struggle so the blood can go into its wings to actually strengthen its wings. So why do I share that with you as we're talking about how to not lose yourself when you're witnessing someone going through some pain? It's so easy to want to rush in and save. It's so easy to want to rush in and scoop up the person who's hurting and make it all better for them. Type yes in the comments if you can identify with this. It's what I did for a lot of my life. People called me the human Band-Aid because I just wanted everyone to feel okay. And what I realized that started happening for me was I started losing myself. And I want to explain that in a minute. What I know about you is I know that you're a loving and caring individual. You wouldn't be on this Facebook Live if you weren't. You're loving, you're caring, you're probably empathic, which means you're sensitive. And when you have those things going for you, the tendency truly is to want to rush in and help, rush in and fix, rush in and save. And what you don't know is that sometimes you're actually doing someone a disservice by rushing in to save. And I want to explain why. Think about the energy of what happens to you when someone that you care about is going through a struggle, whether they're going through anxiety or depression or they're going through grief. They're in a lower frequency because of the heaviness of what they're going through. And here's you, right, in your happy, confident self. When you decide to go in and rescue or go in and save or go in and try and fix, you actually bring your frequency down to a lower frequency. And again, type yes or give me a thumbs up in the comments if when you do that, you kind of get stuck in this energy, right? And it just kind of, you circle around with it and you circle around with it and you circle around with it. And now you have two people kind of stuck in the muck. So let me tell you the three things that you might be doing that might not be helping. The first one is fretting. All of these begin with F, which is kind of cool. So the first one is fretting about it. And I totally get it, you guys. I know because I've lived this personally. I see it with my clients all the time when my clients come in and they're really struggling. But when it hits me personally, in this last year, I've supported the people that I love the most as they went through their own grief and anxiety and some depression. And I got to tell you, I nearly lost myself going through it because I so wanted to be there and love them and support them. So the first thing we typically do that does not work is fretting about it. It's so easy, and I did it myself, to start going into worry about the person. Let me tell you why, and you already know this. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. But when you start worrying about someone, here's what happens. You actually lower your frequency. See, I want to go into the energetics of all of this so you get it. When you worry about someone, you lower your frequency. And when you worry about someone, you actually are closing off the shutter to your heart, which blocks the divine from coming through. The divine is going to come through the open-heartedness of you. So when you worry, this is something that my guides told me many, many years ago. When we worry about someone, we are actually sending them lower frequency, sludgy energy that will actually keep them more stuck in their situation, okay? So I just want you to raise your awareness because this is what's so typical, especially for women. And I'm going to share a couple of ways for you to not worry and what to do instead. So that's the first thing, fretting about it, worrying about it. The second thing that you might be doing that might not be helping you is focusing on it. And again, I just lived this in this past year. I know how easy it is to get so hyper-focused on that person and on the problem that they're going through. The reason we tend to get hyper-focused on it, because we're scared. And you know what we're really scared about? We're really scared that if we don't focus on the problem, then it will get worse. Let me know in the comments if that makes sense to you. But this is what I hear from my clients. And a lot of times they'll tell me, Sandy, I can't not focus on that. I have to focus on that. It's where my energy goes. But what I want you to know is wherever your energy goes, wherever your focus goes, if you're focusing on the person and their problem, you now become part of the problem. You become part of the energy, part of the frequency of that problem. And I know that's not what you want for a solution. What I'm giving you right now are things that we unconsciously do that aren't working. So fretting on it, focusing on the problem is not going to solve it. And the third thing that we typically tend to do is to go into fix-it mode. Now, you need to know something about me. I am the queen of fixaholics. My dad from Spirit said to me, Sandy, you have an addiction. You're a fixaholic. And again, the reason why I wanted to help everyone and fix everyone so much was because I was afraid that they would get worse, or I was afraid on a deeper level, and tell me if this makes sense for you, I was afraid that I would somehow lose them. That I would lose them to their depression, I would lose them to their anxiety, I would lose them to the grief, I would So let me know, does that make sense for you as well? So when we go into fixing mode, what we're actually doing is, again, we are kind of bucking up against what could be the best possible divine solution, because we're going into the level of the problem. Get it? The reason we fret, focus, or try and fix is because of fear. And when we hyper focus on someone else and the problem, we start to lose ourselves. And again, at the end of the broadcast, I'm going to share with you some things that you can do so that you don't lose yourself. Again, I share this and I teach this stuff because I have lived it. And I've lost myself a few times in my life trying to fix or focus on someone else and not stay in my own vibration. So let me peel back the curtain and let you know what's really happening here. When there's someone in your life who's struggling and you're feeling helpless, or you're feeling worried, you're feeling sad, you're in fix-it mode, what's really happening is something in you is getting triggered. It might be your fear, it might be your worry, and quite often we don't want to be with what's getting triggered inside of us. And so we go, oh, let me focus on them. Let me focus on them. It'll make me feel better. It'll make them feel better. And what happens there is you're totally taking the focus off of what's getting triggered inside of you. And that's what you really need to take a look at. Last year was a breakdown year for so many people. Lots of things came undone, lots of loss in last year. And this year is going to be all about rebuilding and coming back home to you and your authentic self. So when you're in fix-it mode and when you're over-focused on someone else, remember, you're actually part of the problem. And you start to lose your power, because when you go into a lower vibration of worry or fear, you are not in your calm, confident self. And this up here, you guys, this higher frequency, this higher vibration, this is where your higher self and its wisdom is hanging out. So doesn't it make sense that when you're down here in the frequency of the problem, you can't find the solution, you can't see the solution, and you keep going in circles and circles and circles because you are not in the frequency of the solution? Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up or a yes if that makes sense. So remember, part of what's going on is fear is coming up for you. And fear is saying, you have to stay involved in this. You have to keep trying to fix it for them. You have to keep trying to make them okay. That's what your fear is telling you. It's not coming from your higher self. It's coming from fear. And so fear is most likely telling you, if you do nothing, it will get worse. And so I want you to recognize it's coming from fear. And I don't want you to live your life from that fear-based perspective. So I also have heard from many clients and some of my students that they feel like it would be selfish to not worry about someone they care about. It would be selfish to not go in there and try and fix it and figure it out, right? And my question for you, and you don't have to answer it, you can if you want to, but my question for you is, are you willing to stay in a higher frequency of peace, even when someone might be struggling? Okay, you ready for the turnaround? Here's the turnaround for you. The one counterintuitive thing that you have to do if you want to shift a situation or if you want peace. And again, are you willing to have peace even when someone that you love doesn't have peace? Ready for this? The one counterintuitive thing that you must do, it's 3 words. It's not let it go or let them go. It's not. And let me tell you why I'm not going to tell you to let them go or let it go. Because the minute I tell you, or the minute someone tells you, oh, just let it go, your ego is going to go grasp even more strongly. Because the thought of letting something go immediately triggers a fear response. It triggers a loss response. So I am not going to tell you to let it go. The one counterintuitive thing that you must do, ready? 3 words. Let it be. Let it be. Or let them be. And you might be like, what? How can I let it be, Sandy? Look at what's happening. Let me explain why it's so important. So let's say that person in the situation is here. Maybe it's someone that you love is got an addiction. Maybe they're going through grief. Maybe they're going through anxiety. Maybe they're going through depression. So here I am telling you to let it be, let the situation be. I'm not saying you don't care about it or them. Of course you care. You love them completely. And this is going to be really, it might be hard, but it might not be. Let me explain why. I'm asking you to let it be, and here is why. When you can let this situation be, what I want you to then do is I want you to find your way back to your center. I want you to find your way back to your higher self, which is already within you. It's already around you. It's within you. It's connected to your inner brave heart, and it is 100% always connected to God. Why am I asking you to go there? It's a higher frequency energy. Here, oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Here's what happens when you can find your way back into a higher frequency, even when someone else is struggling. Here's the importance of it. When you can hold your frequency in a frequency of calm and peace, you become Christ-like. And I'm not saying better than, I'm saying you become like the energy of Christ, who was able to do what he did and heal like he healed because he kept his frequency so high. This is what Spirit has shared with me. This is how he healed, that he held his frequency so high that whenever anyone came around him or touched him, they began to vibrate out of their illness to a place where illness didn't exist, and then they called it a miracle. What I'm asking you to do is to find your way back to your higher self, find your way back to your centered place, the place that is connected with the divine. Here is where the solution exists. You can't see it when you're here. And when you can hold your frequency here, you can then ask, God, what would you have me to do? What would you have me to say? And it won't be coming from fear. So I hope that makes sense for you. Let me know if that makes sense, and let me know if you have a question. Yes, Nancy, I do remember the song, and it was the song Let It Be, that my dad in Spirit asked us to listen to every day, because the secret to life is in that song. Let it be. Okay, so a couple of ideas that can also help you and support you. And by the way, we're going to continue this conversation on my free Facebook group, Brave Heart Rising, and I put the link up at the top somewhere. I can't see where it is, but it's there somewhere. Come on over and join the group, and we're going to be continuing the conversation tonight over there about, how do you not lose yourself? So here are some other ideas. Surrender. Surrender the situation, surrender the person, surrender your worry, surrender your fear. The missing component to when someone is going through this and you get lost in it, the missing component is the divine. It is your higher power. It is God. That's what's missing. That's the higher frequency. That's the solution. That's the perspective that is needed. The other thing that I teach all the time is to have you go into a conversation with God and ask God, should I be afraid of this? Should I be afraid of this? Not once, you guys, in all the years that I've been doing this work, and it's been now 25 years, not once when anyone has asked God directly, God, should I be afraid of this? Not once has God ever said, oh, yeah, you should be very afraid of that. Not once. But quite often, that's the last place we go to get guidance, right? Because we're so like here in our monkey mind. And when the heart closes, like I mentioned in the beginning, when your heart closes, you're blinked up here into the monkey mind. And that's where all the fear is. So you can surrender it, invite God in, ask God, should I be afraid of this? And I guarantee you, you will always get, no, don't be afraid. There's nothing to fear. When this is happening for you, when someone in your life is struggling like this, to me, it's a call to come home. It's a call to get reconnected to whatever your faith is. It's a call for you to get reconnected to your authentic self, to your higher self, because there is no fear. Your higher self holds no fear. The energy of God holds no fear. Your monkey mind? Yeah. Your monkey mind, because I'll tell you why. Your monkey mind is going to go into your past and it's going to collect all of these times and all of the stories that it's heard from everybody else about all these things to be afraid of. And it's going to go, see, this is why you should be afraid. That's what the monkey mind does. One more suggestion for you, and then we're going to sign off. I was trying to keep this to 15 to 20 minutes, but my last suggestion is when this is happening, you've got to take care of you. And that was one thing that when I got lost, like anytime I lose myself, I stop writing in my journal. I stop exercising. And so it's one thing that I've learned how important self-care is. So I want to remind you that it's not selfish to take care of you when someone is struggling. What it will actually do is it will actually keep you strong. It will keep you centered. It will keep you grounded. When you take care of you, your body, your mind, your heart, your spirit, what it will do for you, it will help to elevate your frequency so that you can give the situation a chance to rise. You never know that person in your life who you love that's struggling, you never know when they're just about to come out of that cocoon and they just need their own inner strength. Maybe they need to rely on their own inner power so that they can be strengthened and transform through the experience. So if you just joined, if you joined late, you've got to go back to the beginning of this and watch this whole broadcast. I want to thank you so much. If you have any questions at all, post them here in the chat. I'm not going to be answering any questions tonight. We're going to head on over to the Brave Heart Rising group and we'll take the conversation there. You can ask the question there as well. And I want to thank you for being here. I love you guys so very much. And yeah, I'm in awe of the growth that you are going to experience this year. It's going to be a beautiful year. And I'm so grateful to be here to guide you. Thanks so much for being here. Much love to you. Bye-bye.